So hello, welcome to Object Matrix and Mjoll webinar, where we'll be just showing you the integration. We'll try and keep the intro stuff quite light, and you all want to see the products, so we'll get them in front of you as soon as we can. My name is Mark Aberfield. I'm the pre-sales engineer here at Object Matrix, and on the line we also have Steiner, who is the CTO at Mjoll. Hi Steiner, thanks for joining us. So as I said, we're going to keep it very quick today on the intro and the slides. We don't want to bore you with PowerPoints, so we're just going to tell you about us as a company. And hopefully, if I've got this working correctly, you should all see a video and hear a video.
In 2003, Object Matrix created MatrixStore Object Storage. In 2009, we focused on the media industry and only the media industry. And that very year, we started to win customers in broadcast, news, sports, video on demand, post-production, VFX, and corporate video, as our solutions solved major problems the media industry was facing. In 2010, we continued to listen to our customers and help them solve their challenges by building more tight integrations with the tools that they used. Today, there are 3 ways to deploy MatrixStore Object Storage. Firstly, MatrixStore on-prem, deployed in-house in your data centers. Very powerful, very secure, and your content is accessible from anywhere. Secondly, MatrixStore Cloud, media-focused cloud storage with predictable costs and no egress fees. It's perfect for backup, business continuity, or archive workflows. Finally, MatrixStore Hybrid, a combination of MatrixStore on-prem, MatrixStore Cloud or public cloud storage with the benefits of creating a unified multi-cloud storage platform. With hundreds of global installations, we help our customer community to be more operationally efficient, to collaborate globally, and empower creativity. We've been dedicated to the media industry for over a decade, and we will continue to help you meet your challenges as we evolve to a more relevant and appropriate Cloud 2.0. In 2021, we invite you to join the MatrixStore on-prem, hybrid, and multi-cloud storage revolution. Object Matrix, saving you time and money.
Great, thank you very much for the intro, Nick, and I'll hand over to Steiner to tell us a little bit about Mjoll.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Yes, so Mjoll is our company name, and we have one single product, which is called Mimir, and we are quite a young company. This was launched at IBC in 2018, and we have already won a couple of awards, which we are very proud of. And it's basically cloud-based media management, and we are making end-user tools for those people that are working with media production in TV production and production companies. If you can bring up the next slide, Mark. We basically have about 25 customers using our system today, and it is offered as a software as a service, and it is cloud native, built on AWS scalable cloud infrastructure, and then we have a tie-in into the on-premise infrastructures, and we want to do as little as possible with the on-premise infrastructures. That's why partnering with companies such as Object Matrix is really good for us, and we do have some software that can and needs to run on-premise to be able to avoid costly movement and slow movement of high-res files through cloud infrastructure if you're doing daily productions that require a lot of source media being processed. We'll get into the details soon, but the main thing, if you go to the next, is that we are kind of an infrastructure provider creating a PAM and MAM system that is being used by broadcasters to do news production and the 24/7 type productions, and also the more archive of content and indexing of content. And we are using a lot of artificial intelligence services to index the content, but we are not an AI company. There's a lot of companies creating great AI services, but we focus on the workflow tools to bring those technologies into the hands of the end users. So we have a web front end for journalists to search and find content. And then we also have integrations with the different NLE systems, such as Adobe Premiere Pro, which we will show soon, and also with Media Composer and other NLE systems. If you go to the next one, we have three main areas that we work within, and the first one being Cloud Archive with backup. We can index existing content that sits in a Cloud Archive. We don't need to move the files into our environment. So typically we prefer that our customers own their own storage, both on-premise and in the cloud. We just need read access to it to index it, and we also support transcoding it to proxy versions so that the users can see the content in a web browser, and then we can reference the files in the storage location where they are. And then on the workflow side, we have two main types of customers, and the PAM workflow is for daily broadcast workflows, where we handle content coming into a system and presenting that to the end users in an efficient way. And then we have the post-production workflows for post-production companies, where you have high-res files that arrive in a system, where you need to have efficient ways of making that available in proxies many times, so that you don't need to transport these high-res files around. I think that's enough as an intro, Mark. So I think we want to show the products instead of explaining them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give you a quick little look at a quick workflow diagram. As you can see, MatrixStore Cloud is where we've actually deployed this, and we've also put next to it 3 of the Mjoll servers. They're stateless Docker containers actually within our system, and they link directly up to the MatrixStore through our file system interfaces, allowing it to scan, etc. That particular tool is called Kelder, which you might hear about later. But you can see all those proxies go straight up to the Mjoll Cloud options and the platform, where they can see it, choose their clips, and even use the panel directly in Premiere. So those remote users can be sorting their assets within Vision, they can be sorting their assets within Mimir, and they can be sorting and using those assets directly within the Premiere Pro. We've also got a nice tie-in where we can then, from the remote users, when they've done their proxy edit, can fire back to the MatrixStore Cloud, where we've popped a few Adobe Media encoders. And again, they can easily set that conform run in and the delivery back to the MatrixStore. So it's a nice system for remote proxy editing, as well as managing all those assets and making sure you've got the assets and the people working remotely, which we all need today. I mean, we could talk about that to our heart's content, but what we really want to do is see it. And I want to show that desktop there, where I've got my MatrixStore setup. For those of you who've seen MatrixStore before, you'll know this is the admin tool. In MatrixStore Cloud, we have it broken up into spaces. So an end user would actually just see their space, their vaults, and their users. Under the hood, there's obviously all the hardware, making sure the data is protected and safe, and that's looked after by us, knowing that you've got full sovereignty over that data within the system. So the core part of MatrixStore is all surrounding the vaults that create the workspaces or buckets that you want to work with at that time. Some people use them to follow projects around, some people use them to in perpetuity keep their archive there or their nearline. And this is where we can allow those policies. You know, am I going to have a trash can? Am I going to replicate it to a second location? Am I going to extract all that important metadata, which the MatrixStore itself does in conjunction with the Mjoll stuff, also extracting metadata and the smarts around that. So this is where we create our vaults, and this is where we apply those important policies on a vault by vault basis of how the data is treated from your point of view. Some of the core tasks of MatrixStore are protecting that data Protection and audits, knowing exactly who's had access to that data, who's read it, who's been playing with it, who's writing it, and who's deleting it. And everything within MatrixStore is audited with full IDs and file names and users, as well as the IP address that they came from as well. We've supplemented those audits now with a lovely tool called Sense, which gives us a really nice analytical view of our system. So before we had this, we've just had some basic statistics. We've now got some lovely detailed vault statistics that tell us exactly what's happening on a vault by vault basis. We can look at those replication statistics, make sure the data is crossing over to a second location at your choosing, and also make sure there's plenty of alerts in the system telling us if things are not happening as they should or are getting close to full or anything you like from that point of view. So the Sense just gives that benefit of knowing where the data is and what data is doing what at what time within the system. Whenever you use MatrixStore, you always get Vision as well. Vision is our front-end web browser into the MatrixStore. Now, Vision isn't a database. Vision is actually looking at all of the assets. Every one of these assets that displayed here is a high-res asset. It's a big file. We know that media info is being extracted, that metadata that we need to use, but there's also a small proxy on these and a thumbnail as well. So I'm just going to dive into some videos because I'm going to take this one here and I'm going to say, yeah, this is the video. I happen to know I want to pass this over to my Mimir. So I'm going to copy it to my Mimir watch vault, which is here. And we'll have a look at that in the not too distant future. But I can play these videos straight out of the MatrixStore. I can decide if it's the one I want. I can JKL, change time, format, etc. But I can also flip on clipping as well. And again, I could create a small sub-clip. So instead of bringing back the 2-hour rugby match or the 4-hour tennis match, I can just clip that up. And I can choose to pass that either to the same folder, or again, I could send that to my Mimir clips at the press of a few buttons. So I'm kind of doing that media management section just before. Now, the beauty of MatrixStore, of course, is the remote working, the ability to look at your assets, no database. If this version of Vision went away, I could spin up another one. I can make it look like your company. So BT in UK, they have it skinned up to look like their company, and others have various versions of it themselves, which is great for that ownership. It gives the end user the ability to see their own look at and feel of their own company. Of course, I can do other things with these assets. Apart from copy, move, I can add metadata, edit metadata, rename. I can add attachments to things, so you can have a relationship link between assets. I could take a video and add the sub files to it or the QC file to it, so they've got relationships. And I can also get links as well, private links. If someone's got a log on to Vision, they can have a private link. And of course, if someone's not got a log on, we can still give them an expiring link that they can use just for this one-off to look at or get that asset as well. The core part of MatrixStore, though, is the search side of things, the ability to quickly and easily search, whether that's on an individual vault or multiple vaults simultaneously, including the extracted metadata, using a fuzzy search in case I've got mistakes, and even filtering that search down as well to make sure it is bit for bit available to us. Again, that metadata on the right-hand side here, you can see all that XMP metadata we've extracted, making it all searchable in the MatrixStore without the need for hefty interaction. So from a Mimir point of view, I've got a vault here called Mimir Clips, and this is where I've been chucking a few videos. I've been playing around with this today, so we've been sending videos in and out, and I can quickly and easily log into the Mimir front end as well. And on the left-hand side, I can see, the stuff we've been playing with. Now, my colleagues have been playing with other vaults, but I happen to set mine up in here and called it Mimir Clips. Straight away, I can see Nick's faceplate video is here already. I've got it available to me to play, and I've got it available here to hand over to Steiner, who's obviously a good few hundred miles away from me, and he's also got the same view on the same assets. So do you need me to stop sharing, Steiner, so you can take over?
I'm trying to take over now. It looks like I can just steal it. So I think you can see me now.
I can indeed, yes.
All right, great. So I'm going to start by talking about the Mimir web frontend and the search functionality of it. Right now, I'm logged on to a demo account, having a little bit other content than the account that Mark was just showing. I will get back to that content in a few minutes. But I will first start to show the user interface of Mimir. This allows me as a journalist, that is the typical user we are targeting, the end users that are looking for content to use in media production. If I search, for instance, here for coronavirus, then I will get search hits in my database. And I have the search hits presented in a list here, where each line represents one item. They could be video items, or they could be still pictures or audio files. And for some reason, I have a search hit in these. It could be in the title, or it could be that someone is saying the word coronavirus. In that case, this is extracted using speech to text, which we do for using third-party APIs or third-party services, where our customers can choose what AI services to utilize to index the content. And we support a range of different types of analysis, which I will show. But the search experience is that I see one line per video, and then I get these icons over here, and they represent different search hits within the video. So here it's someone saying the word coronavirus, and when I click it, it queues up that video on the frame or on the point in time when she says coronavirus. So I can quickly jump between these different instances when they're saying coronavirus, and I can scroll through the different content and look at different content that matches my search. I also have a timeline here at the top. So it shows me I have 74 items in 2021. And then this started back in March, April. So I can zoom into my timeline, which adds this as a filter. So now I will only see content between the dates I've selected and that has some kind of hit in coronavirus. And again, I get the clips where people are talking about coronavirus. And also some of these are in
coronavirus
in a different language. And if I go into this item by clicking on the title here, I will see the details that we have analyzed or extracted from this this video. And I see I have 3 search hits in the translation of this. This is actually a Hindi original language.
Coronavirus 11,000 पार कर चुकी है संक्रमण.
And then by automatically translating that to English, for instance, we can also understand what they are saying in a different language. So it's possible to configure the system for the mother language of the user so that they can always get a good overview or understand what the content is about by looking at the translated transcript. So all of this is done using automation. There is no existing technical metadata needed to do this. And we do an interpolation of the timing of the words so that when I click on the translation, it will also queue to the area where they are talking about the word or topic I clicked on.
भी बढ़ता जा रहा है कोरोना वायरस का प्रकोप.
And we use this mainly for search indexing so that people can find the content, but we also use it to generate subtitles. So I can switch to the subtitle view, and then it will do the chunking of the subtitles according to some tuning rules so that I can change this. For instance, if this is going for broadcast TV, I want to have 17 words on each subtitle, or if it's for social media, and by the way, I have line breaks set here, which I can change to get a more natural flow like this. Or if this is a social media clip, I can turn it down to have only 6 words per subtitle so that you can burn it in as a translation into the video that you produce. So there are many use cases for using the transcript functionality and the translation functionality. And I'll get back to that a bit more when I look at the NLE or editing workflows. I can also search for people. If I search for a specific person, I can, for instance, go to my advanced search up here. Here I can search for specific things within the video. So if I wanted to have, for instance, a specific person, let's just do Boris Johnson instead. And then I will search for Then I get now 2 filters. I still have my date selection here, and I have now only content where Boris Johnson is detected using face detection in these videos. So this allows me to search for specific people, and I can add more filters as I go along. If I take away the date filter, and then I can add more people to the search, I can say I want to have Boris Johnson, and I want him to talk about Brexit. Then this is a filter for the word Brexit being said in the video, so that I will find someone saying the word Brexit, and I can also include an extra filter saying I want these to overlap in time, so that I only get search hits where his face is detected in the video at the same time as the word Brexit is being said. So this we can use to filter and narrow down the search to find content efficiently using automation. So no pre-existing metadata is required to do this type of search. So I can also do this in a short syntax form. I can type person Trump says fake, and then we get Trump, and also I want this to occur in overlapping time. And then I get the videos or the frames within the videos
fake news,
where he's talking about fake news or similar things.
Fake news.
I can also use object detection data here. So if I add another filter, I want to also have label flag. I see that there is a flag behind him. And we have indexed some of this content using object detection. So now I filter down even further to only see the video items or segments within videos where the word fake news is being said, and there is a flag in the video, and the person Trump is in the video. So you can mix and match many of these different types of AI material to find content that we're looking for. I can also do other types. Let's do label snow, and then I want to have label car. Then I will have videos with cars and snow in them, and I can do the same thing. I want to have it at the same time, and then here is a car with snow. Here's another car detected and snow. And then I can also mix that with other types of metadata. So we can also deal with technical metadata. So it's possible to extract XMP data. You can have existing metadata in a PAM or MAM system that we can import. And maybe it's important to say that Mimir can work and take the role of a MAM or PAM system, but we also have customers that have existing infrastructure in place where we work as an add-on next to it. So you don't need to change the existing workflows or existing infrastructure to use Mimir. We can basically import the data and point to the data where it's currently being stored, and then just add additional search functionality on top of it. If I now take away my car and go to my map view, then I can also see the search hits presented where I have snow, and then I have the snow, let me see here. The search hits presented on my map. Here we go. So now I have, and that is technical metadata that has been imported from these videos. So if I zoom into this area, I see some search hits where I have snow together with this area filter that I'm looking at. So there are many ways of filtering the content and find it. That is one of the main purposes. We have a folder structure so that you can organize content in folders. And this is being used, for instance, when we collaborate with our newsroom system sister company, Seven Mountains, which creates story folders where journalists are preparing the content in folders. So you can also navigate into the folder structure and look at the different content using normal folders like you would do. Yeah, I think maybe that's enough about the search functionality. You get the point. We can index content using AI, and we can combine it with other types of metadata. But I think I want to jump over to show a little bit of the NLE workflows. So let me jump over to, I'm going to start actually in Media Composer. And I have here Media Composer running, and I have Mimir Desktop. So this is a desktop application which has the exact same functionality that you saw. And we can basically index Avid content or Avid storage. And I have a Nexus server that has been indexed, and I have then access to the same material in Mimir, and I can see that from any location. And of course, the high-res of this could be a matrix store from Object Matrix, where all the high-res sits. And we are just indexing the generated proxies in Avid. And then when I look at some of the content, I can use it. Let me see if I want to have this one here. And I have a story here, or a clip here that I can open. Basically, I can drag this straight out of Mimir. And when I drag it, this is actually an AAF that points to the high-res where it's stored on the matrix storage originally. So there is no file movement needed when I'm on premise with my media composer and have access to my Nexus server. I can take these clips and just drag them straight out and drop them into media composer and start editing without any movement of files. And then I can also work with these markers or transcripts as markers. So here I see the transcript.
Take great pride in the fact that
I can switch to the subtitle view maybe, and then I can select
take great pride in the fact that
content based on the words. So if I select this, you can see the timeline under the video player having a mark in and out point selected. So now I've selected a subclip based on the text, and I can now create an AAF for this current selection, which creates then a subclip for Media Composer. And that subclip will then be draggable into Media Composer, where it creates a subclip with this from 39 seconds to 1 minute 10. And if I open this one up, you will see that this contains the markers from the transcript. So now I see the list of the same list of subtitles or chunks that we created here. So I can even here double click on one of these and it will jump to the corresponding time code of the content.
I take great pride in the fact.
And I can jump to another one and it will then jump to that one.
I will not provide a long narrative step.
And of course I can edit this and the markers will follow into the sequences so that I get the markers from the transcript into my end sequence as metadata. So that's one way of working with Avid Media Composer. But the tightest integration we have is with Adobe Premiere Pro. There we have the possibility of creating a panel inside Adobe Premiere Pro where I can access the same content that Mark has sitting in his data center over in Wales. So the content that he brought in, he had a vault called Mimir Clips. And if I go to this folder, I can see this OM faceplate shaving mirror. That was the file that Mark added to a vault. So the high-res version of this file sits in Cardiff, or is it in London? I'm not really sure. But the high-res is still sitting on the matrix storage over there. And then our Kelda server, our on-premise agent, which also runs in their data center, has produced a proxy version of this. So when I'm working in Adobe Premiere Pro, I'm currently in proxy mode. And you can pretend I'm in my home office where I don't have access to any of this on my editing machine, but I can import this as proxy by clicking the import button. And now the Mimir panel, which is available as a normal extension in Adobe Premiere Pro, will grab the proxy version, which actually sits in cloud storage. So the proxy is in cloud, but the high-res is still in Cardiff. And I can use this in many different ways. I can also open it up and I can do the same type of editing. So let me just grab some frames from this one, mark an in point, an out point, and drag it in here. So I have now a sequence. And then I also want to show you that I can work very much the same way that you saw with the, I can actually use the same clip. This one here also has the transcript. And I can import this into my bin and I will get the item imported here. And I can also work with the text. So now you see I do an in and out point selection and I can import this as a subclip to Premiere Pro where it adds just a reference to the same clip. So it's this one here, from the word I to the word things, which is exactly the sentence I added or selected. So I add that subclip to my sequence, and I'm still working just in proxy here, and I can also continue to go beyond it because we have more media on the sides, of course. So I have access to the full Adobe Premiere Pro workflow with access to my entire archive. Some of the high-res can be on matrix storage on-premise. Some of the content can be in my cloud storage, in my cloud bucket. And Mimir can present a unified search and access to that media in a very easy way. And the final step is to actually do the render. And if I'm producing this for social media, I could render it out on my machine. This is typically a 1080p proxy, which is good enough for using on YouTube. But if this is a workflow for broadcast, then you want to, of course, do the conform using the high-res material. And I can do that by just jumping to back to, let's say, I'm going to go into my folder, and I'm going to export my sequence to my folder. So now I can say this is my Steinar edit from Norway, and I will click now the central render button, which will make this render in high-res, not on my machine, but actually on Mark's infrastructure in Cardiff. So if I click upload sequence, our Premiere panel will now upload this sequence as just a Premiere project file, which is of course no size at all. And that means I'm not transporting any high-res material to my editing PC. And I'm not working over remote desktop or anything. This is a native local client running on my machine. So I have the full quick and nice workflow with all the audio channels and everything. And then when I'm exporting this back, we basically send the project file via the cloud, which is being picked up now and has been delivered to an Adobe Media Encoder, which Mark had on his diagram, which sits in Cardiff just next to the MatrixStore, so that the high-res is now being rendered directly without any movement of the high-res files. So now it has been rendered, and we see that high-res is now available. So for broadcast production workflows, this is now available to send straight to a playout server in the studio, and it can be played out in full broadcast quality. The next steps that Mimir will do now, this is now being transcoded again in Cardiff, so that we can move a proxy version of this up to the cloud, so that all users can see the edited sequence without having access to the high-res material. So this is now being processed and will be brought back into Mimir as a normal item. I can also see the edit relations here. So when I go into this edit that I did, I can see here what source media was used to produce this one. So we also do media tracking so that you can see where the content comes from that went into creating the sequence. And also the other way around, if I go into Mark's faceplate clip, I can see that it has been used in this edit. So there's full media tracking, and I can also use the other types of content that Mimir extracts. For instance, if I go to the file that had, let me go to one of these example files that has, for instance, this one has a transcript. If I bring this one in here and bring it into my sequence, then I can go and pick also the transcript itself. So I can choose if I want to have the Spanish. Actually, let's do that. This one has been transcribed from English, and I can translate this on the fly to a different language if I want to. So I can translate it to, I think it was already in Spanish. Let's do German. I'm translating it to German, and that gives me a German translation, and I can tune that like you saw with the rules and everything. I'm going to leave it as is, but I can basically import the translated subtitles as a caption file and just bring it straight into my sequence. So here is my, let's see, where is it? I'm sure it's here somewhere. There's captions, and here is the German translation of the transcribed content that I can just drag into here. And then I have my subtitle workflows in Premiere directly, which can be either burnt in or stored as metadata. So yeah, I can probably continue for another hour talking about all these things, but maybe we can open up for some questions, or I'll step back to you, Mark.
No, I think going to questions is good. Just from my side, I can see the Adobe Media Encoder took it. It's run through and it's back in the Matrix Store to use as we see fit or share out from there. I mean, any questions, do feel free to unmute, guys, or pop them in the chat. I know my first question for you, Steiner, is when anyone says the words AI these days, dollar signs normally come up. How's the pricing come on this sort of thing?
Yeah, how is that working? Well, as I said before, we are not an AI company ourselves. We integrate existing AIs that our customers want to use, and we let our customers choose which one to use themselves. And we do, of course, charge whatever it costs us to use these AI services. But we don't double the price or triple the price like some of the others do. We keep the price the same. We do add a 2% administration fee because we actually have to pay for some of these services before we collect our own bills from our customers. But there is no additional cost. You will see the same cost as the list price from Amazon, Google, Microsoft. We support a range of different AI services. And also, you don't want to analyze your entire archive. That's going to be very expensive. So we have different defaults which our customers can choose, so that, for instance, all raw material that arrives can typically be analyzed with transcription, which is very useful. But all the produced material could be face detected, which is a much lower volume. So that all the rendered sequences can get analyzed further. So you set up different rules so that you don't run everything through the AI systems.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. So, anybody out there with any other questions for us?
Oh yeah,
I do. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Philip. Go ahead.
No, sorry. Okay. Let me go first. Oh, it's one regarding Adobe. So how can I know that the proxy was created by, I just forgot the name. Sorry, the server.
Kelda server.
Kelda.
Yeah, Kelda. So it is created, uploads to the cloud. I know that once you go to Adobe, you download that proxy, right? And you can start editing. But can you toggle between low res and high res on Adobe?
That's a great question. Let me just show you that. I'm going to leave my screen sharing on for a bit. So in our panel, if I go to the Mimir panel, I can go to this sync page where we show the status. So here you see all the items I have imported, and you see the proxy column is green checkbox because I've been using the proxy. If I want to get the high resolution version of these files, I can just click on the download of high-res, and then we insert the high-res link. So it will now download the high-res from where this is stored. And this one is the one that Mark added to his system in Cardiff. So it's actually downloading the file directly from the object storage, or from the matrix storage, via an S3 gateway. So it's not going via the cloud. So there's no egress cost in use to get hold of the high-res. And yeah, so I can click on download all, and it will take all of them. And also, this could be your own storage bucket in the cloud that owns the high-res content. It could even be on Glacier, and when you click the download, we would trigger the restore from Glacier and then download it when it's available.
Okay, just to see that I understood correctly. So we have the storage in Cardiff. So it is just the path between Adobe and the Adobe is supposed to be on Cardiff, and it is just the path, or you have to actually download it, or.
Right. Yes. So typically, if I'm working in my home office, I would have a storage that the high-res content.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. So it would download it to my editing station, which could be on my computer, or if I'm a department with 10 editors, you would have a NAS, and we would download to a shared NAS for those users if you have a remote location, for instance. So it has a
Okay.
caching mechanism, and it can
Yeah.
download without going via the costly cloud for where they have egress cost.
No, I understand. Yeah, it's great. But imagine if you are, I mean, on the facility, on the customer facility, you know, and you have the storage there, and you want to use Mimir, and can you just link the hi-has that is, you know, on the same network?
Yes, that is possible. So all the users that are on premise, they would not have any download at all. All of these would just import instantly because it would point to the shared storage where you edit from.
Perfect. Yeah, it's great. Thank you. And the last one, and I saw that you uploaded the sequence created on Adobe, and you said that, oh, now we create the hi-has version and you can publish to playout. Let's imagine that we have a playout server. So how you publish that?
So when I create a new item from my sequence, so when I did the export here, then I export a sequence and it becomes an item in Mimir. So this becomes an item with a title and everything. And then that item will be rendered on premise, and then the transport to playout servers, that can happen in many different ways. We have a transfer system as part of Mimir where I can trigger a transfer to a playout server. If this is in a news production environment, we would have a newsroom system performing the transfer request, and we will push it to a playout server. So there are many ways of doing that, but we do have a transfer system for that.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, yeah, those are my questions. Thank you.
Pleasure.
And also,
also
Sana, just please refresh my mind. So where can we check the estimated cost for the cloud? I remember there's a place where we can.
Yeah, I have access to my account here. So if I go to my organization, I will see the billing tab here, where I can see the cost that I have incurred this month. So here I have, this is actually Mark's account. So he has spent $3 this month. And you can see the different analysis here, for instance, the transcription. So we have only used Amazon's transcription service, 20 minutes of it, so $50. So this is all available in our customer's account. They will see their own cost.
Right. So Steiner, what's the strategy for implementing the different AIs at the moment?
So our customers are choosing the different AIs. So as a system administrator, I can also go to my settings and go to my language list, and then I can add, for instance, a new language. Let's add, I'm going to do Spanish. Let's do the Spanish regular one, and then I can choose between the different speech-to-text providers that support this. So the strategy for implementing new ones is basically when a customer asks us for a specific service, we will add it. If it's a good service that makes sense, we will just implement it, and then it becomes available as a choice in the settings so that you can use it. And this is an evolving platform. We are updating our software on average every day with new features and fixes for things. So this is a cloud native system that gets updates continually while users are on the platform. And we are releasing features very frequently. So it's a very different MAM or PAM system when you compare it to the traditional ones, which typically have a very long release cycle. We have only one version. All customers are always on the latest version.
Great, thank you.
I can also show you that I can add local content. So if I have a memory card on my machine, I'm a journalist, I've been out shooting, and I come to my either remote location office or I come to my work desk, I can then go to my local files and pick something. I can actually drag in a complete P2 card into Mimir, and it will process it and even stitch it so that you don't end up with all these separate files. Let me just find a still picture or something. just to have something small, I will do, let's do Larry. And I'm now dragging that into basically the bin of Adobe, and I will use it in my sequence. And then if I try now to export this one, I go to my folder and export the sequence, the Mimir panel will discover that I have used and referenced local content that is not available in Mark's environment where the conform will take place. So because of that, it says that there are now 2 files that will be uploaded, both the sequence as well as the image, and it tells me how many bytes that file is. So if you mix local content with content managed by Mimir, it will automatically upload it so that you have full control over the content.
So Steiner, it's Felipe. If you don't mind, can you go back to that slide where you show the diagram of the system?
Yeah, that was, let me see if I have that one. Just give me 1 second. I have it here on my separate screen.
No problem.
So in the diagram, you had some Linux servers sitting on the on-site, on-premise environment where in Mark's data center, and then
yeah, I don't see the diagram actually.
No, I'm just.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So here, no, not that one. I am sorry. I got it now. Very soon. Here we go. This one here. So you are talking about this slide here, right?
Yes. Okay, so in case you are adding local content to Adobe, as you show right now, you not upload that to the cloud, right? You send that straight to OM, just the high-hash portion. Is that correct?
That is correct. So again, that's to avoid the egress cost you get by transporting it via cloud. We do support transporting it directly to the object matrix storage.
Okay, got you.
Okay, I think one last question just come in. Is there any way of detecting rights protection material on the system?
So when it comes to metadata, we do support rights protection information in the clips. So let's say that if I go to some video clip, and if this comes in as protected by some rights, let's take, I'm going to just use this one here. I can mark a segment or the entire file. So I can mark an in point and an out point, and then I can choose to say this is forbidden to use. So now this segment has been marked, and I can also mark it with this is owned by Reuters. And of course, this would normally be automated. If you have a Reuters feed coming into the system, all the content would be marked as owned by Reuters. But the trick is we can make the users aware of this, so that when they try to import this clip here now in Adobe Premiere or want to download it, we will present the user with a warning dialog saying there are rights protection details connected to this item, and show them that this is owned by Reuters, so that the user has to acknowledge that they are aware of the user restrictions. And in addition, we also propagate this from source media to the sequences that we export, so that when you render this via the Adobe Premiere plugin, we can actually also mark the created sequences with the same usage information, so that you will have full control over the rights holders of the content, so you can avoid using content that you don't own.
Cool.
Is there any control with regards to Media Composer and Nexus workflow. So Nexus runs its own sets of user permissions for a workspace control. If something is brought into the Mimir environment, if it's then linked via the OM in any way, shape or form, is there any way of propagating the permissions control that is within the Nexus side of things? So if we have multiple customers using the single Nexus environment, we would normally split their workspaces out by a production so people can't see other people's content. Is that sort of control also reflected into the wider environment?
Yes, we do have support for that. So in my organization, I can see different user groups. So if you have different customers or different segments that you want to have isolated content, I can create a user group called customer 1, or maybe that's a bad example to use, but let's just do that. And then I can add users to that group so that when you log on to Mimir, you will have only access to the content visible for customer 1. And now I can say that this Nexus server, or maybe this project or this subtree in Nexus should be visible not for everyone, but only for the customer 1 user group in Mimir, so that you have visibility control in the system as well.
So in that's excellent. So in the Avid Nexus subfolder structure you've got there, those subfolders that you've got, which I'm just trying to see the name of, the jacuzzi, the quadruple floors, are they workspaces on the Nexus then?
Well,
or are they...
yeah, I have to be a little bit specific now because we don't have a full interplay integration, just so you know that.
Yeah,
we
that's great.
Yeah, so we do support understanding the storage structure, basically the Avid media files folder structure on Avid storage. And we are reading out the project names from the media files. So that is what you're seeing here. So the jacuzzi is actually a project in Media Composer. And if I add a new project and add data to it, we are able to present it in a tree view, very much like you see in the media tool in Media Composer, except that's one long list. We can categorize the content into these project folders. We do not have yet a full interplay integration, just to be clear about that. That is on our roadmap, but not yet available.
I mean, actually, just before this call, we were talking about the Object Matrix Interconnect, where we mirror the interplay to the MatrixStore, and then of course Mimir can pick it up and view those assets in that way. There might be a little bit of a tweak we need to make, but certainly a workflow we're looking at. Because
one of the areas I see within this is actually not in the non-interplay sites, and hence the kind of like if you are able to drill into the Nexus file system and then the Media Composer integration, the ability to pull transcribed, subclipped, marked clips into your bin straight from there is a very interesting proposition, and the lack of reliance on interplay for the more moderate size facilities is a very, very interesting part of the play. So nice.
Yeah, no, that's interesting to hear. And also the fact that Mimir runs in a cloud means that the whole backend, the whole database of Mimir runs in the cloud. So we have customers using it for multi-site management, where you can have a Nexus server on one location, and that could be mapped into one folder structure in Mimir. And then you can have another location mapped into a different folder, but all users will see all content. So if you have, for instance, multiple sites with multiple object matrix storages on different locations, all the content can be indexed and searchable in one common place. And of course, we will minimize the transfer of high-res so that wherever the content is used, that's where you would render it if you're using the Adobe Media workflow. Or when you are on premise with the Nexus server, then you would use the AAF reference files so that it would be indexing it. You would still be able to see the content of the other sites in Mimir, because it can index content basically anywhere, and some of it could be living in the cloud, including the high-res.
Just to follow from that then, can you index multiple remote Nexus locations then?
Yes.
In that respect as well?
Yes.
stuff. Okay. Thank you, everybody. We're coming up to the head of the hour now. So any questions, if you want to get in front of us for a closer demo, or you want to present it to your customers as well, please do get in touch. You know where we are, Object Matrix and Mjoll.no. Thank you very much, Steiner. Been really useful. And thank you to everyone who joined us today.
Yes, thank you very much.